I can have HDMI volume off.
Oh, hang on. Talk some more. No, see, that's not. It's not coming out of our end.
Wait, what about HDMI in? Kyle? HDMI.
No, that's not. I'm trying.
Because when he talks, that goes up.
Yeah, it's.
Just push it and see what it does.
No, hang on. Dude, literally, it worked so easy the last time. See, because that's coming out of the computer. I need it to come out of this.
What if we just had to put him on speakerphone and put it next to the...
Check, check. No. What the heck?
And you don't think it's supposed to come through HDMI at all?
No. Everything's supposed to run through this, which I had it work last time.
Ports over here. See if that would do it.
Something killing me right now. Literally, I just plugged it in last time and it worked. Didn't have to do any different changes. Output.
If needed, though, can we just put him on speakerphone and put it next to a microphone? Like, put it next to your microphone?
I could just run another mic. Can you talk real quick, Loren? It's coming out of that. Like, he's going to the live feed, but you're not going to be able to hear it.
So just put him on the phone so he can hear it. And then that way you can hear Casey talking and Loren.
I mean, I hear him somewhere over here. Oh, but if I sit over here, I'll be behind.
Literally just call him and just have it run.
There's going to be multiple delays. Like, select microphone. It's not that. How about now, Loren?
Mic check, 1, 2.
I think we're going to.
We're live on Dragon Line 2 doing this, just so you know.
You can't see us, Ken. Oh, you can hear our audio.
What's up, everybody? Casey Currie here. I'm excited to be back. Last week, we had to skip a week. We were doing some traveling. We were out and about, actually in Moab, Utah, for a second time in the last 2 weeks. So, trying to have as much fun as we can in these crazy times, and just filling the time with some UTV content, some Jeep content, and just having an absolute blast. And man, it's been a crazy, crazy year. But overall, we are pushing forward, moving, attacking, and trying not to get too carried away and too crazy at home. So, man, I'm excited to be back. I got a very exciting guest who I actually just spent a bunch of time with in Moab. We had a blast, and we got Loren Healy with us today. And I'm excited to have Loren. Loren, thank you so much for coming and joining on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely excited to be here, and I know we got some good horror stories to talk about, wheeling and racing and stuff like that. So it should be a good time.
So, Loren, it's been a crazy year. Well, I mean, for myself, obviously you're a massive competitor in the Ultra 4 world, and man, you've joined with Vaughn Gitten, and you got a lot of fun, exciting things happening in the world. And why don't we give a brief of what you got going on, actually, besides racing? Because, man, I feel the truck behind you, the blue and black one, is going after something different than you're kind of used to doing.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, yeah, we've had a lot of downtime, We got a couple events in right there in February, and then everything. Vaughn and I had planned on building the Fun Runner, which is it's a 2019 Ford Ranger, but we wanted to put Ultra 4 inspired suspension underneath it and make it be able to jump and haul butt through the whoops and rock crawl and do all the things that an Ultra 4 truck does. So that was kind of our vision and our goal. Talked to Kibby Tech. He had built a truck for Vaughn before he built his F-150 drift truck. So we just it was an easy transformation to bring Kibby in on that and tell him our goals and our plans, and he just executed and killed it on the truck. He did an amazing job.
I mean, just to give people a breakdown, obviously the looks of it's a Ford Ranger, but I mean, you guys have done some pretty amazing things to that truck, and we all saw it in Moab. If you guys haven't seen it, I mean, I'm sure Loren and Vaughn have a bunch of cool videos of it. But if on my latest YouTube video, I actually put a bunch of video up it just so people could see it on my own YouTube channel. But I mean, why don't you give the people the breakdown of the front end, the rear end, the transfer case? Well, those are the things that I know you did, but I know there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so our plan was narrowed Spider Trek's 10-inch front diff. Same thing as what you run in your Ultra 4 truck. But we had to fit it underneath the motor, so we put a long side tube on one side, so it's about 20 inches wide with the wheel mount surface, and then built Ultra 4 tough suspension underneath it. So it's got like Series 30 RCV stuff with 40 spline axle shafts. It's got a 40 spline ARB front and rear on it. So it's cycling 15 inches of travel in the front on the front IFS with coilovers and bypasses on it, and then on the rear, we wanted to make it friendly, not necessarily bolt in. We knew we were cutting the truck apart and cutting all the front suspension and stuff off of it, but the rear we did a parallel 4-link with trailing arm uppers, so the shocks are mounted on the uppers, and then it has a panhard bar in the back, so works all around the factory fuel cell. We didn't have to do too much modifications back there, but it's also pulling 15 inches of travel in the back too. So this thing, it rips through the desert. It works really well. Coilovers and bypasses on it. So we've kind of wanted to go through a learning curve with this truck and knew we wanted to figure out some stuff. So I'm making IFS work, making it work in the rocks on a pickup truck. So we started with an electric rack on it. Wanting to learn the steering and what we were going to need to do for upgrades. And that worked great. We had 37s on the truck when we first debuted it, and that worked great in the rocks. Didn't have any huge issues with it. And then upgraded to, we went to actually like a Jeep style steering box, mounted that on the frame, put a swing set on it, and made that so that we could go to like a full hydraulic assist swing set type system. So, the steering on it's just like driving the race truck. It works really good. One of the things we really wanted to figure out was how to put an Atlas in it. So luckily Advanced Adapters had already had a Atlas adapter and a whole system already built for this transmission. It's the same transmission as what's in the F-150 pickup truck. So, it was already pretty much there and didn't take a whole lot of work to do that. So, that was actually one of the easier things to do.
Yeah, I mean, we all know. I mean, in Moab, I mean, just so everyone knows, like, I mean, as far as in the seat driving it, I mean, how is it? I mean, you've driven Jeeps, Polarises, you've driven, I mean, you name it, you've driven it. How is it in the rocks?
So I didn't know where to set my expectations with it. I really didn't. If there's one thing that I could say is a little bit difficult is the fenders. So, you're used to a Jeep kind of being tucked in and the tires being outside the body. Those really nice, beautiful fiberglass fenders are close to the edge of the tire. So I managed to kiss all 4 tires. I didn't rip a single fender off the whole week, but every one of them, have witness marks on it. But otherwise, I mean, performance-wise, we've got some more videos that are going to be coming out shortly. But the guys are doing like good edits on. But it exceeded my expectations everywhere we went. I didn't back off of anything all week long. I was able to climb every obstacle I tried, all the really, impressive, well-known obstacles in Moab. It went right up every one of them. It's really impressive, rock crawling. And then, we went out to the dunes and I jumped it like I was jumping my race truck in the dunes. I mean, 10, 15 feet in the air. It's impressive.
That's right. I actually saw something, I don't know if it was on your Instagram or Vaughn's, but one of them, I saw something, the light bar disappeared. I mean, is there a good story with that?
Yeah, we were jumping in the sand dunes and that light bar, I don't know if Kibby really knew what we were going to be doing with this truck. I mean, we told him what we were going to be doing, but I sent it off the sand dunes and flat landed it down in the bottom and it broke the housing on the light bar in half in the front. It was pretty funny.
Full send then.
Full send. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. So on top of the Ford Ranger behind you, you showed up to the King of the Hammers in a freaking radical brand new to you Ultra 4 car. I mean, dude, let's give everybody the load. I'm excited because that thing is cherry. It was cherry before you owned it, but give everybody the lowdown of the new Ultra 4 car you got.
Yeah, man. So going into last year, Ford had been kind of propping us up with, Vaughn had been propping us up with Ford, telling them about the Ultra 4 program, and they were wanting to come in hot and heavy, knowing that they're going to be releasing Bronco in 2021. So, they already had a great relationship with Vaughn, and, with us forming the Fun Haver off-road team, it just made sense for us to start working into, a Bronco and into a Ford-based race program. So, knowing that was my plan, I had built that D3 mode actually before I even knew what race vehicle was going to be going in it. It took about 8 months for Jeff Ginter to put that thing together for me. It's, those parts aren't always exactly just sitting on the shelf. So, late in the season, I had asked Jimmy's to be able to build a race truck for 2020, and it kind of got to a time frame where he wasn't going to be able to finish the race truck for me, being that I needed to make it to King of the Hammers with this new Ford powered truck. So, we're actually sitting around at Crandon when we were out there racing you. Paul and I were working on my race truck, and I kind of told him, I'm kind of getting in a tough situation. I've got to have this new race truck. And he came up with a great idea. He said, that D3 motor is the same size as that Spreadbore small block, which is almost big block size. It won't just fit in any race truck out there. He said, let's drop it in my single seater. Let's work it out. And I'm actually looking for a new toter home. So you want to trade out your toter home for this race truck? And man, it was high five and let's do it. Let's get back to work and get going on it. We got to spend the rest of the fall dropping that D3 motor on and kind of figuring out how to make all that work together. And I'm amazed with that truck. Paul did a great job on the fabrication, on the design work. It's by far the fastest thing that I've ever driven. Never once have I been able to break 100 at Barstow, Maine, in the big whoops, and I clicked off 103 there. Like I couldn't believe it when I looked at the GPS after. I was just floored. And went right out of the gate, first time in a race environment, set the pole at KOH, and had a great race going. Same standard race story, I was winning until I wasn't, but had got out front, was in front of Jason, when I smoked a rear drive shaft on a rock. And it was still a great day. Still got to the finish line. Still finished seventh. Ended up having to work on the car for about an hour while everybody ran away from me. But that's King of the Hammers. That's the way that race goes.
Man, that race, I know all about it. I've had the terribles there. So, but no, dude, the car is amazing. So if anybody out there ever wants to see a truly amazing car, you guys have done a great job on the thing. And I mean, Paul builds a beautiful car as well. So I mean, definitely kudos to all you guys on that. And as far as like what did you? I know obviously with coronavirus, the schedules are getting changed and things are changing. But I mean, can anyone see you out racing, or what's your plans for racing for the rest of the year?
Man, I'm dying to go racing. I don't think I've ever gone this long without doing a race. So, the great thing about coronavirus is I've been able to spend so much time with my wife and kids. Like, it's been this kind of like hidden gem in disguise. I know and everything, but it's been pretty neat. So my daughter's been wanting to drive everything. She's getting ready to get her driver's license in a year. She drove the Fun Runner up the top of the world while we were in Moab. She's been driving the trophy truck. So now she wants to try racing. So we found a grassroots desert race that we're leaving for tomorrow down in Texas. I'm going to put her in the driver's seat of my Razor, and I'm going to go co-drive with her for a couple hundred miles. So I'm stoked about that. I'm looking forward to getting back racing. And then there's a couple options here at the end of June. So I'm pretty confident Silver State 300 is going to run. And then NorCal Rock Racing. There's 2 races for June 29th. So June 25th. So I'm going to do one of those 2, either Silver State or go up to the NorCal Rock Races up in Reno. So I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get back racing again and excited.
Yeah, I'm looking at Vegas to Reno. Just, I feel that it's kind of far enough away that I can actually plan, and I feel that it's going to happen. It's been tough. Like the Ultra 4 series, man, there are so many great events coming right in these months. For me, I've never done the San Felipe race. I really wanted to get down to San Felipe with Ultra 4. I thought that'd be a great race. And, it's a bummer that it happened, but I feel that obviously for the safety of everybody, it's a smart thing to do. And then, Spring Crandon getting canceled. That was another heartbreaker. I love Crandon, and, it is what it is. And I feel that once again, for everybody and the safety, it's a smart thing to do. But, I feel that I'm like Vegas to Reno is a good one. I feel that it's a great race. It's got the name to it. I've actually never raced it. Never gone, and actually, everyone says it's fast, which for an Ultra 4 car, anything that's fast means it's not whoops. And, with the low A-arms in the front, without the portals, anything not whooped out is a good day for me. So that's cool that you guys are going out. Now, as far as racing your UTV, that's radical, by the way, that your daughter's getting to drive. I'm 10 years from that, I hope. My kids would race tomorrow if they're allowed, but it's pretty amazing. You got any other UTV races you guys are going to race this year?
The only other real UTV race that I'm looking at is UTV World Championships. So we went and ran that last year and had a blast, but those guys are so fast out there. The guys that are racing UTVs on a regular basis, all I've ever raced is KOH, and while we're racing fast there, that's more of an endurance race, and it's not a sprint. And I could not believe the pace those guys had, in the longer wheelbase, in the Can-Ams and the 4C Razors was unreal. I thought I was a fast driver, and I was running like 10th, thinking I was driving my butt off. So I would like to have a purpose-built UTV to try to go out and run with those guys, but it's just only so much time in the day to be able to build cars.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's funny that I did UTV World Championships 2 years ago. We had a total blast. Showed up because there's no like trophy trucks or Ultra 4 cars or any other big class. It makes it fun because now everyone's in like an equal size car. There's no like, oh, here comes the big show. Like you are the big show. So no matter what class you race throughout the day, everybody's getting the recognition and everyone's having an absolute blast. So if you're going to race the short course or the desert side of it, but I will admit, like, just like you're saying, like the dudes in the pro class and the desert cars, when it gets in those big bumps, like I'm the same way. You feel that you can drive fast and I'll hold it wide open. My car works so good in the whoops, but dude, when it gets into those 4-seat cars that are tuned for the desert and like, oh yeah, I don't ever let off. And then you got an 18-year-old kid who's got no fear. It's like, hey, win it or break it. No matter what, I'm having a good time. But those guys, just like you're saying, like when they make it to the finish, it's like, dude, you were wide open for 200 miles. yeah, its belt temperature was 1 degree from popping the belt, but I ran it the whole day that way. It's like, dude, you guys are crazy. So
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely admit that. Like, it's pretty wild. So without racing, like, I always wanted to know, you got like a trophy truck or some 6100 right behind you. Like, I see it filming and stuff. So what's the program with that thing?
So, I mean, it's kind of a silly story, but a good friend of mine that I grew up in high school with, I mean, I've known since I was a little kid. He killed it in the oil and gas industry, and him and his buddies, they wanted a trophy truck. Well, I kind of talked him out of buying a legit, trophy truck. I'm like, you guys need to start with something smaller and learn your way into racing. So the next day, a Geyser trophy truck was getting delivered to my shop because they went and bought it, and told me, do whatever you want with it. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to race or chase or do something with you someday. But do whatever you want with it. So, I mean, as well as anybody, it's easy to own a trophy truck, but the logistics and the cost of actually racing anything like that in the desert, that's where the real expense is. And so, there's partners that don't necessarily want to see us racing in trophy trucks. I mean, you've experienced that as well.
Yeah.
So we've got to use it for some exhibition stuff. We did jump champs in it, film some content and stuff like that, but haven't had the opportunity to go race it. I'm kind of hoping at some point those walls will come down a little bit and we can go race the 6100 truck in the desert. But right now we're sticking to Ultra 4 stuff, and we'll use that for shooting videos and playing.
That's rad. So real quick, Kyle's sending, anybody's got any questions for Loren, anybody's got any questions for myself, please shoot him on the message. Kyle's reading. He'll leave them our way. So, and then, so back, I got, Kyle actually mentioned something, Alcan 5000. Dude, how was it? My dad did it. He enjoyed it. He had a great time. I was coming back from the car, burnt out, tired, and now wishing I did it because it would have been the last event and now probably the biggest event for the year.
Right, for sure. Like, I don't think people understand what -40 is. I know I didn't. And it's this crazy, weird crackle feeling that's just unlike anything else I've ever felt. I mean, I've been in 0 degree or maybe -10 stuff before, but the Arctic Ocean and the Arctic Circle and that stuff up there was just, it was pretty surreal. I don't know how people survive up there. I mean, they're living up there. They're living in igloos and on frozen rivers, and I can't understand it, but it's one of those, once in a lifetime epic adventures. I hope I make it back up, maybe for another one. I think I'd like to go up for the summer Alcan rally next time, just to maybe see all the wildlife and the bears and all that cool stuff. But Alaska's kind of that great unknown that you don't really know until you get there and experience it, and you should definitely go do it when you get the chance.
So is it worth it though? Like, I mean, the long drive, the long days, was it worth it?
Dude, it's brutal. I mean, I love to drive, just like you love to drive. And we were doing 500, 600, 700 miles a day, starting at 6 in the morning, and some nights ending at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And you do that 1 or 2 days in a row, but 10 days in a row, you were cooked. And it's not like, you're sitting there driving along and texting people and kind of, enjoying your day. You have to be on your A game the whole time, because the second you start slipping on the ice at 70 miles an hour, you're looped out into a ditch, and Mel's sitting there trying to snatch you out of the ditch at 60 miles an hour on a snatch strap. Like, it was pretty wild.
That's crazy. That's exactly what my dad said. He's like, if you don't pay attention for that couple seconds is when the car's starting to step out, and you're playing on ice the whole time. So pretty unbelievable. So that's pretty amazing. So, all right, well, I have some questions. Obviously, I come from a different world, but I love Ultra 4. But all right, so what is your biggest win or your biggest accomplishment for a win that you've done so far?
Man, I'd have to put it on a season. So 2014 was last time I won King of the Hammers. Unfortunately, it's been 6 years. We debuted the Red Dragon right after King of the Hammers. We tried to have it there and have it ready, but we debuted that car, won King of the Hammers, and then came out and won every single race in that car for like 8 straight races in Ultra 4. and it just was like untouchable during that time. And some stuff kind of like fell together with Shannon and Jason wrecking right in front of me that I ended up winning the race. Like there was definitely some luck involved, but I think that, I won three or four championships and King of the Hammers, in that time spread. And it definitely, that I feel like that was probably my biggest accomplishment in Ultra 4 racing. And since then, we've won races. I've won a couple championships. I can't seem to get back on the box at King of the Hammers. That race just is so brutal. But to put it together for that long and have that kind of run, in Ultra 4 and King of the Hammers with so much competition, I think is probably my greatest, accomplishment there.
Yeah, I agree. I remember all those days. You were freaking ripping for a long. There was times it's like no one is touching him. So very impressive. And the King of the Hammers, we all know that. Come on, that is freaking hard, man. It's like you got to have a perfect day, and just like what happened to you this year, it's like that one rock that got moved in a way that it nicked the dry. And obviously, we all know how sensitive a dry shaft is. It's like, man, dude, there's just no way around it, and it just kissed the right way. But yeah, dude, that's pretty dope. So, all right, next one, worst crash.
Ooh. I've had a lot of those lately, man.
Obviously, I was sorry. I have to apologize, Crandon. I might have helped you on accident.
Yeah, we were racing hard. I mean, I had no hard feelings there at all. I mean, we were both racing hard and trying to get a win. So shit happens when you're got 40-inch tires slinging around a corner. So that was a good one at Crandon, but luckily I don't think I hit the chassis, so it went end to end and didn't hurt me at all. People have seen that wreck that I had during qualifying where I did that front flip and landed back on the tires. That was also another one where it looked horrible in the video. That video's been seen like 10 million times or something like that on my Facebook page. You can't pay for that kind of social media. So that one also, didn't hurt, didn't knock me out, I didn't even feel that the next day. So I think probably filming some social media content. I just posted a video where I came up short filming with Vaughn down the Rally Ready that hurt my back pretty good. We were hitting this gap all day long, or hitting the Nitto jump, the one you used in your video.
Yep.
We've been hitting that all day long with no problems, and we set it up over a gap, and Vaughn we did kind of an over under, and I just hit the jump about 5 miles an hour too slow and came up short. And the front suspension soaked it up, but it just went straight to the bulkhead, at like a 20-foot drop. Oh. And it compressed my back pretty bad. That was definitely in the last few years one of the bad ones. The other one I can really think about is King of the Hammers, like 2015. So that was the first year I raced the Red Dragon at King of the Hammers. I had raced it mostly on short course events and hadn't learned to respect how fast that car was in the desert, but how much you can get in trouble in a single seater. And so I was ripping along out in the kind of the G outs along the base of one of the mountains and thought I was out of it and clicked up to like 90 or 100 and hit one last G out that packed, front flipped me, and it knocked me out. Completely cold, facing backwards on course, and I woke up to the siren on another car who, was telling me, actually, you know what? I saw you that day too. So this ties back together. So I get back in the car, I look it over, drive to the first rock in the canyon, and I didn't realize I was so out of it. I hit my head so hard and had such a bad concussion that I pulled into the first rock section and it had sheared the front axle shafts out in the front when it hit that G out or when I landed or something. I didn't realize I was in two-wheel drive getting to that rock section. And so I'm standing there flooring it, trying to figure out how to get into those rocks. Finally, I get out of the car and I figure out what's going on. So I parked right there next to the trail, and like 5 minutes later, you and Oren came through and your starter wasn't working, or something had happened
Yeah,
to your truck.
that's exactly what it
And
was.
so I don't know. Somehow we all worked together, and we were going to take parts off my car or something to get you back racing again. But we got it figured out, and you got moving again. But that's funny that you were there right after that.
Now that you say that, like, dude, it's funny because you're like, dude, I freaking hit my head so hard. I'm not sure what's going on with my car, but I'm all good. You literally helped me keep going. But now hearing the back, I'm like, maybe we should have called in and made sure somebody came to get you, because that's crazy. I never. Now knowing it, like, you said you hit your head, you were like, you crashed, but you're okay. But now it's like, dude, should we have called in and told somebody?
Yeah. I ended up getting back in my car and wandering back to camp off course, like, and the whole roof was smashed down. I mean, we had to cut the top off the car. It was a bad wreck. And I think at the time I didn't realize how bad it was, but later on, like, you learn how bad that concussion was and how hard of a hit it was.
Oh, dude, that's so gnarly. So another question, like, dude, I mean, we all have more of a short course question than a desert question. And like, obviously in Ultra 4, there's a lot of short course racing. You have any battles that you just remember that it was like one of those races where it was neck and neck, wheel to wheel? I don't care if you won or lost, but just one of those races where you're like, that was just freaking radical.
So Shannon and I have a bunch of those because he's always been the one pushing that game and never will lift and never let off. We have a bunch of choices, but the one I'll never forget is it was 2015, back to where I was trying to wrap up the national championship. And we're at Reno for the first race that year, or the first time we ever raced on the Reno short course. And Shannon has nothing to lose. He's not in the points hunt. All he wants to do is go out and win the race and upset my championship battle. And I'm trying to be smart and not screw up and give away the championship. But, at the same time, this comes out kind of like Tomac this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
He could have let Webb go at any point and still won, could have had the point. He just couldn't do it because that's how a racer is. So Shannon and I are battling lap after lap, and I'm just in front of him. And he just doesn't have enough motor to get around me. And so I'll just outmotor him in the straights, and then he'd drive on two wheels, smashing through boulders, get back on my bumper, and I'd outmotor him in the straight. And we're coming off the top of that area, how at Reno you come down that hill.
Yep.
And there's been a ton of gnarly wrecks down there, and they call it Shannon's Canyon down there bottom in the left. And he's in the dust. I'm up a little bit high, and he's like 2 lanes too low, and he thinks he can get past me in the bottom of it. And he hits a Volkswagen-sized boulder. I mean, I'm serious. It's the size of a Volkswagen. And it rips both the front A-arms off of both sides of the car and sends him tumbling down that hill. And he passed me like assholes and elbows flipping down that hill and lands back on the tires, stands on the throttle trying to still race around me. That was definitely one of the most epic short course battles. I mean, Shannon and I have a bunch of those. He's front flipped next to me and behind me more times than I can count. But it was just that was always stick in my head watching him flip past me down that hill.
He is one that will not lift, and if he has an opportunity to win, he is gonna go for it no matter what. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome one.
For sure.
Kyle, you said you had some questions?
Yeah. So Devin Wilson on YouTube wants to know, what was the inspiration behind the Ford Ranger?
The inspiration behind the Ford Ranger, working with Ford and partnering with Ford going into the 2020 Ultra 4 season, knowing that they were coming out to start promoting the Bronco, and that Bronco's back after 20-something years. That the inspiration was for Vaughn and I, to get out of a Jeep. I've been a Jeep guy for the last, 15, 20 years. That's all I've ever wheeled. And pick a vehicle, that was a Ford vehicle that we could go do all the expeditions and all the stuff that we're doing. And knowing that we were doing the Alcan 5000, knowing that we do Easter Jeep Safari, that we do the Rubicon, all the normal off-road marketing events, that Casey and I do every year. That was why we wanted to build a Ford vehicle. And the Ford Ranger just, it made the most sense. And the other really cool thing about it is you go to Moab or Easter Jeep Safari, and there's 1,000 Jeeps on 40s, but was one Ford Ranger there when we were there last week, and nobody could stop looking at that thing. At every gas station, at every restaurant, there was people crawling on it, looking underneath it, just freaking out about it. So I think that was really neat that it's just completely out of the realm of what you normally see.
I agree. You got any more?
Yeah. So, whoa, hang on. Weird audio. Mike on Facebook wants to know, with the being part of the Fun Haver crew now, are you ever going to get into a drift car?
That's a good story too. So getting into a drift car. So this year at SEMA, we were going to have the Fun Runner, the Ranger. We were going to have that here for me to do demos at Ford out front at SEMA. And you know how builds go, especially with custom parts. The truck didn't make it there. And so the plan was for me to jump into Vaughn's F-150 drift truck. And I was all for it. And Vaughn's like, oh yeah, you'll be able to do it. No problem. We go out there and try to drift. And all I can do is loop that thing out. I cannot control the truck. I can't save it. I can't do anything with it. It was probably one of the more humbling and embarrassing moments that I've had, because I've watched a bunch of drifting, but I've never actually tried it. And those boys can drive. I mean, the things that they do with those cars are unreal. And I don't know if everybody really understands how talented of drivers those guys are. But when I tried it in his pickup truck, I couldn't do it to save my life. So my plan is Chelsea Denofa, who's also on the Fun Haver team, he has the School of Drift up in Portland. So we've got it on the schedule, and I'll be up there in July going to his school and learning how to drift and figuring out how to do that. I'll have to build a vehicle, that has some off-road flair and a little bit of my style with it. But I do intend to be drifting here soon.
Dude, what's funny about you saying that is, honestly, how fast they go and how close they can get to the wall, dude. You watch videos, it looks good. I'm like, no problem. We can all go out and set a car in a corner. But just like you're saying, until you see it in real life, dude, they are freaking ripping. And then how much control they have and all what they're doing with their feet, it's pretty unbelievable.
It is. I hope I can get my instincts and my throttle control. And so when I tried to do it, everything that I know, I never really had anybody teach me how to drive. So all my natural instincts with four-wheel drive are so backwards and wrong for drifting. It wasn't even funny. When I was flicking in was too late. When I was grabbing the handbrake, I was completely off timing. When I was getting back into the throttle, I was completely off. So I hope I can break my off-road racing and my four-wheel drive racing and figure out how to do that, because it's, you've seen videos of us throwing the cars around on asphalt with four-wheel drive Ultra 4 trucks, but the front end always pulls you around and kind of points you where you're going. It's not like that in a drift car at all. And I was humbled that day for sure.
Yeah, no, I know this feeling. I built a 67 Camaro that I'm trying my hardest to learn how to basically drive and drift and do all the fun stuff. And pretty much all I'm good at right now is smoking the tires. I know how to drop the clutch and smoke them down, but that's basically where we're at. So, it definitely definitely learning curve. I'm in the same boat you're in. So, no, we're the good old Camaro. I'm still learning, definitely learning. So now, all right, I got another question for you. If you had dream build, it can be Ford, it can be anything, off-road related, car related. If you were to build something, if you had, let's say you got a budget to build whatever you wanted, a friend wants a car, whatever you want, what would you build right now for fun? Not racing related, for fun.
So I'm definitely a car guy. I love building vehicles, and I am constantly doing stuff with rock crawlers and buggies and trucks and stuff. So right now, the thing that I've been searching and dreaming about and thinking about building like crazy, there's two things. I want to do an old bump side F100, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about, but I want to slam it and put fiberglass on it and then, and be able to drift it and do some of that stuff on like 37s or 40s. but have it slammed down, low. Like, think of how a trophy truck looks all slammed and smashed on the ground, when it G's out. Something like that I could drift and throw around and do demos in. The other thing, since I was a very little kid, since I was 15, the early Broncos, the 66 through like 72, that was my dream car as a kid. I couldn't afford one because, even then the prices were outrageous on them. So I ended up in a 76 Scout for my first vehicle through high school. But I daydreamed about a Bronco mile that entire time. So, I think those two are the things that right now, if I was going to build, a cool hot rod or a cool vehicle, I think that's what I'd want to build right now.
That's rad. Those are, definitely two radical builds. I'm going to say the old truck thing right now is jamming. Like, dude, there's so many radical trucks being built right now. And just like, what's funny, just like you're saying, there's like pre-runners being built, like full trophy truck pre-runners, and then you got the airbag ones, you got the ones in big tires and lowered, but like the trophy truck idea being lowered down would be pretty amazing. Kyle actually got another question for me. He's waving me down here.
Ashton Hemphill on actually your feed, Loren, wants to know if you're going to start prepping your kids to get behind the wheel and carry on your legacy for Ultra 4.
Yeah, he must have missed the first part of the story, or when Casey first started talking. But yeah, we're racing the Polaris Razor in Texas this weekend. So we're loading up and leaving out Friday. My 14-year-old daughter's gonna be driving, and I'll be co-driving.
Do they all want to drive?
My son, my 14-year-old, she loves it. She wants to drive. My middle daughter, she's 12. And she, out of all of them, I think has the most natural instincts. I see the most of me and her. She scares me the most in a vehicle. I don't know if she wants to race or not yet. And then my little boy, he's only 8 and he doesn't love race trucks right now. He thinks they're loud, and he loves riding bikes and loves doing all that stuff and wants a dirt bike. And he just, if I ask him about a race car, he thinks they're too fast and scary right now. So I don't know if that'll grow out of him or not, or, if I'll just have to leave it to the girls. I mean, we'll just have to see.
Hey man, for me with my two young ones, they're a little gnarly. But I mean, I would take golf, tennis, piano lessons any day of the week. Cause like, you're at 8, he's a little older and a little smarter. Mine are young and dumb right now. I swear the things they do, I get it that just like you, like we live a little bit on the edge, and it's like I need them to back it down, like just just learn to use the brakes. If you're gonna ride your bicycles, you gotta wear shoes, and if you're not, it's gonna hurt when you crash. And it's like they crash once, and then it's like, dude, you just crashed again without your shoes on. How many blisters on the top of your toes do you need before you're going to start putting your shoes on? But for me, I think, look, if they want to race or not, just the time being with them. Like you said earlier, like this time in my life, in the last 12 years, I've never been home this much. And whatever my kids want to do, like being with them and hanging out at home, enjoying the time in the shop, at the house, in the backyard, doing whatever they want to do. It's like, man, I don't know if I would ever have gotten this without the coronavirus, and some of those blessings to me that have come is like, man, I feel like this is that time that it's like, I don't know if we'll ever get this back. And like for us to get it, I mean, it's truly been a blessing in some ways for myself to be able to spend that time with my kids, and like whatever they want to do. It's been a fun time.
I agree 100%. And I think maybe it's a little bit of an eye-opener for those of us who are on the road all the time to make sure we make that time to give our kids the time. Because my daughter being 14 already, I swear she was born yesterday. Like those 14 years have blown by so fast, and she's this little teenager now. And it scares the shit out of me. I'm definitely. I mean, she's gonna be out of the house in 4 years. That's insane.
Crazy.
So I think it'll make us realize a little bit that we need to make more time to do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, well, hey, we've already been on here for 45 minutes chatting. Loren, I've had a great time. Sorry, I got a birthday tonight for my grandma. Spending the time at home. But dude, really appreciate you coming on here and chatting, dude. Learning all about all your vehicles, everything you got going on. I mean, just so in case they're followers of mine are Driving Line, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, Loren_Healy, and then on Facebook, same thing, Loren Healy. My athlete page is on there too. So, just look for the Ranger and Ultra 4 trucks doing stupid stuff.
So thank you so much. Driving Line, thank you guys so much for having us on. You guys got any questions, let us know. We will be on next Wednesday. We enjoy the time here. We absolutely love being on, chatting, having a good time. Loren's got a lot of great stories. He's got a lot of cool things going on. What's happening now, obviously we all know the Ford Bronco is coming. We don't know when, but I'm sure if you watch what he's got going on, something will probably pop up that'll be amazing. And, follow along. And Driving Line, once again, thank you guys. Thank you, Nitto, for allowing us to be here.